The growth of the Long Island Sound podcast has been exponential, and it's all thanks to our listeners and especially our guests. We endeavor to reach an even broader audience, so help us grow in 3 simple ways. Number 1, subscribe to the gigdestiny.com site. Number 2, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And number 3, call the listener line and leave your comment. The number is 631-800-3579. Find the Long Island Sound wherever you listen to podcasts, and remember, be generous with your joy and let the music take you on a journey.
Thanks for joining us for the Long Island Sound podcast. Each week we explore new music and dive deeper with the artists and their stories behind the music. Please subscribe and rate and review us wherever you stream this podcast. Here's your host, Steve Yusko.
I am so stoked about today's episode. I found this guy on Facebook. Let me tell you, he was singing from his balcony, accompanied by his wife during COVID, and they've been a sensation on the internet. Feel so blessed to have him on the show. Dante Mazzetti, his wife Jessica, joins us in conversation. You'll hear 3 of his songs. I think you're really going to love this guy. Man, we had a blast. Hey, check out his song, Blue and Gold.
And gold, looking up through the rain and the cold. Your smile brings warmth to the hurt. You are the wise one who still plays in the dirt. Blue and gold, the sunshine still shows in the cold. The dark I relinquish. A wise woman's grin makes sorrow look foolish. Love, you trust, oh, perfection is just a handful of pixie dust. Through the night, on a plane, through your own madness, your life has what's insane. Blue and gold, sunshine still screams in the cold. The dark I relinquish to the wise woman's grin that makes sorrow feel foolish.
If you were prospecting for a diamond in clay, you could take an old soul and plant it in a young man, support him with a beautiful partner, sprinkle in some savvy social media marketing. You might find Dante and Jessica singing from a balcony in New York City. Listening to Dante Mazzetti's music, I found an honesty almost forgotten in troubling times. In watching his performances, I saw a joy that can't be feigned. I am so excited to share this time with Dante Mazzetti and Jessica Garano. Welcome to the Long Island Sound Podcast, guys. Great to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, for those who don't know, this is our first video podcast, although we have a lot of audio podcasts under our belts, and it'll be available in both. So, hey, you know what's just so interesting to me is how social media has connected us and people around the world. And what I found really exciting about you guys, I found you on Facebook, okay? And I try to help people over the past couple of years in COVID get gigs and that sort of thing, and it's been horrible. And then I see you guys singing on a balcony. Man, you've got, I don't know how many you've got, but tell us how that came about, and then we'll turn the pages back and talk about how you got started in music.
We actually have by the way, thank you for having us. We're very excited to do this. Listening to your show, we really love the conversational quality of it. It's just has a really nice feel. But going back to the live stream started, obviously, yeah, we started them during COVID. I don't even think we did one before that, but, all my shows shut down. I was playing maybe like 60 shows a year. So, pretty good, amount.
I didn't even play an instrument before.
And they all got, obviously shut down when everything got shut down. We went to we wanted to still continue on with, what do we do again? We express ourselves, Jess. And then, go ahead. Right. But, it was such a lonely time. Yeah. And I was never a big social media guy. I just really didn't get it for a long time. And then when we started these live streams, it just really opened up a whole new world that different than just like selfies right. That I thought social media was, but it actually this way of, we started playing these shows and playing them on the balcony. And it was really nice because people from all over the world, it was because it was an international pandemic.
Sure.
It was. Is that what pandemic means? Is that everywhere?
Look stuff up. Yeah, we'll look it up afterwards. How's that? Damn, I didn't know there'd be tests.
I like to prove my intelligence early.
Yeah, I prove my intelligence
so anyway,
in silence, as my wife says.
Oh man, that's what I love about not talking. Just make faces, and people can just imagine things.
Yeah, but I'll agree with you on the. I profile singer-songwriters, and the pandemic had a double-edged sword to it. People got depressed, and you couldn't. I mean, all you want to do is you want people to hear you and appreciate your art. And we're all kind of shut down, and people go in two different directions. And I got to give you guys a lot of kudos. I mean, you took the ball and ran with it in a way that I would think is extremely odd. I mean, I find it odd talking into a camera in a room by myself. Thank God you're on the other side, or I'd be nuts. But to then perform like that, without that back and forth of a live audience, you say. I mean, you may get chat messages and that sort of thing. So maybe you can expand upon that.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I found something that I not better, but different in a good way than the live shows, because the problem I've always found with a lot of venues and a lot of live shows, it's a problem and it's not a problem, but it's just the randomness of the audience. You may be in a place where it's a loud place. Every performer has this like kind of way they want to present themselves and be heard. And there's some places that are very, it just doesn't work out that way. What was interesting about the live streams is you're able to sit and perform and just basically have people listen to you, and they can speak with each other and not interrupt the show, which is a very strange thing. And I found this really intriguing when we started. I was very uncomfortable the first time. I think I actually did it sideways the first time. I was like, I was like sideways the whole show. But then, people really started to jump in, and we started to get this really nice following going. And people who became very devoted, and we did it in this way where it's like, I only want to do this if we're basically hanging out. We don't. It was great for a married couple with kids too, because we were able to go out, like be hanging out and not go out, which is very convenient.
Exactly. And it was kind of cool. And I wasn't kidding in the introduction. There was a certain joy that I see in your music between the two of you. I mean, you can see the smiles and the interaction between each other, and that just makes it so real and so natural. And let me tell you, this is my prediction. I think this is going to be a new genre, balcony music, because you're not the only guys that do that. I mean, some do, Mike DeJudas from Big Shot does from the porch, things from the porch and stuff like that, and follows along that theme. But you guys do it really well, and some of it's technical equipment, which could be a bear, as we know, fighting through it, getting the right microphones, I was, this is for a 61-year-old man, this is kind of vain, but I was dicking around with lighting for the past 2 days. So okay, I'm following videos. All right, how do I get the shadow off the side of my face? My hair is way too white. How can I, I'm not going to color my hair, but, and it's real. But, it's pretty white. Yeah,
I like that.
It was brown when I got
nice.
married.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I like white. White hair is good.
So how long have you been doing the balcony sessions?
We did the balcony for we're doing it every night when it started, because it became our outlet for everything. And then we kind of kept going down to less and less, just because as the world picked up, we just got busy with shows, live shows, and but we did it for a long time, and now we sort of are, planning to do it more special event like, because it just becomes very tough to do anything else. We have we try to put out music every 6 weeks, so there's a lot, we're doing a lot of recording and mix that with playing shows and whatnot. So it has gotten less. But I really do love it. And I really love the way I was able to connect with people. It's like one of the problems I've always kind of had with music in general is this sort of, the act of music, the way that performers, even my favorite performers are they just have this act about them. They're not real. They're not people. They're just like, they're playing a part, and what's so funny about it is like, we kind of accept this with the performers we like. They'll be a different person on every album cover. Right. I remember, like you had Bob Dylan was like sort of an underground hipster that turned into a countryman living around Woodstock, New York. So, but this is what we do. Like we kind of just accept this of performers, big Tom Waits fan. Tom Waits, it's almost like performance art, you know? So, but it's very, but what when we go back to think about what is the essence of what makes music such a wonderful thing, you sometimes forget that it's not just, that music is sharing, I'm
going to jump in. I will agree with you as far as, and I can just say this because a lot of the people that you're back on, which is great. A lot of the people that I interview, I've never met before, like you guys. Okay, we're kind of doing like the speed dating on it via Squadcast, which has a certain good dynamic to it. And then I've met people afterwards, and I'm always thinking, wow, they were this is few, are different in person than they are on camera. I found one particular guy, I'm not going to name his name, who's extremely introverted in person. However, when he's on stage, he's phenomenal. Great guitarist and everything else. And I was kind of taken aback. Now, maybe because it was just we were first meeting or what have you, but it was interesting. And then you look at entertainers who may be motivated, and maybe it's an art thing, where they're constantly evolving images. I don't know what the motivation. I have to ask them. Is it to stay fresh? Is it a marketing thing? Don't know. It's interesting. Let's do this.
Right.
Let's do this.
Yep.
Let's turn back the pages. All right. So I can tell the world you guys are married and you got kids.
We are, yeah. And actually, that was a big part of this. When we were doing the show, that was a big part of it. We just like kind of opened up our life to, our family to people, just because we felt people were really lonely. We're like, let our kids come on and dance around if they interrupt the show. It'll be, and just trying to be.
What's interesting about your dynamic, I'm going to make some assumptions, maybe just so you can expand upon this. One, for me to sing to my wife is extremely awkward. I've done it, and she cringes. And And I find the dynamic interesting when you can partner in business and in music together, and it kind of is the combination of the two can really propel you out there, because there's so many artists out there who are really doing it on their own to a certain degree, and their spouse is doing whatever they do. But I think you have a powerhouse dynamic in what you do. So, Jessica, what do you do behind? You said you didn't have to play an instrument, and then I think I saw you with a recorder or something like that, right?
Yeah.
No,
well, so when the live stream was going on, Dante needed someone to play with. So we couldn't invite any friends over or anything. So he taught me. I mean, I had played like a little bit of piano prior. But so he taught me, what did you teach me first? The melodica, I think. He was like, hey, look what I got in the mail today.
I think so.
And so he taught me how to play the melodica, which kind of sounds like a accordion, And then another day, the bass uke came in the mail. So then he taught me how to play that, because he wanted some bass in his songs on the live stream. So, we were home and I had time to learn instruments, and he would just kind of teach me the songs that we were going to play and what he wanted me to play. And so we did that. But it is really true that, it's hard for musicians, because musicians are such creative types that are often like all over the place. And you really need someone, this is why artists have managers, because they need someone who can kind of ground them and say, okay.
Why don't you say what you really think about artists?
Well, no, it's a good thing. I mean, we need artists. Artists are very important to the world. I wish I had that. I wish I was more artistic.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I wish I couldn't get things done. That's how I'm reading what you're saying.
I've also seen another aspect of that where, and this, man, maybe it's I'm stereotyping a bit. For me, it's the older artists who are very humble, very good, very humble, and approach it of, hey, I'm going to let my art speak for itself. I don't need to promote it, and they just kind of flow with it, It's interesting. It's interesting, but you have to open up your world to let people hear your art, because you want to be heard, right, Dante?
I think that it's funny. I talk about this and think about that all the time, because I always go, why am I doing what I'm doing? And it's just because, and the only thing I can come up with is because I just love doing it. I love sharing it. And, because I think, the more time that passes, the less, I don't want to say the less you want from the world, but the more, if ideally you become more content with the world you're in, and then you don't, and then it's a little more to go out and do things, but there is something that drives you. It's just not the same drive that you have at 20, I think, because at 20 you want so much. I mean, to be honest, you want fame, you want to tour on the road, you want to live a wild life, you have all this, this romance in you, and then you get a little older, and ideally the world becomes a little more clear, but you do end up, I think I do, want less from the world. So it's very hard sometimes to decide, what do I want to do? And it's kind of the way I came to want to just be very straightforward with people in the audience, and to really make it more like a hangout environment, because the whole I don't really like this sounds kind of weird, but I don't really like stages. I don't really like, I think it's such a weird thing to have somebody up on a stage. I just really think
it's a pseudo pedestal.
I know that's
right? When you think about it.
It is. And it's like, what is music about? Again, it's people, what is early music? Well, maybe people sitting around playing in a living room, or playing out in the park, but what has music become? It's become this, worshiping, this idolizing, unnatural thing where you're always looking at somebody up there and you don't talk to them and you don't touch them. And what is that? I can understand wanting that at a young age, but why would you need that and want that at this?
Why would you want that adulation? Adulation, which feeds into narcissism.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to just, right? Like, what's fun about music? It's fun to just sit around and jam with people and hang out with them and play with them, have a coffee, have a beer, do whatever you're hanging out. It's an extension of a backyard barbecue or something.
Let me expand upon that. So if you look at what happened and what you guys did during the pandemic, okay, And I would call it, to get philosophical, is being present, literally being very present to someone in the moment, and not just by text and this arm's length aspect to it. But that's, at least personally, I can only speak for myself, that's what I missed in the midst of the pandemic, is that being present in face-to-face with somebody else. That's what I really love about musicians and singer-songwriters. One, your art is very present and can spark memories and emotions in the moment. And you gave a gift by doing the balcony stuff. Seriously, is you gave that connection that people were longing for. Before you respond, let's do this. Let's just take a quick break. And when we come back, I really want to get into your backstory, how you found music, how you found each other when we return. So stick with us, everybody. I'm tongue-tied. We'll be right back.
Are you a singer-songwriter who wants to take your music to the next level, and you need some professional musicians and really that expertise to help you along? Well, check out Melts in Your Ears Studio. It's Mike Nugent's studio. If you like what you've heard here today, Mike's the guy who can make the connections, put the tracks together, and give you a quality product. Check it out.
Hey everybody, we're back with Dante and Jessica. We're having a great time. We were chatting away offline, and I was like, man, we better get back to recording this good stuff. So I want to roll the pages back. Dante, tell me how music came to you and how you guys met, and I'm really curious about that.
I started playing a guitar when I was like 7 or something, and I guess I really did. It was one of the few things in my life that I devoted time to, which is, I went right for my interests. And I started playing all in the subways around in New York and in Manhattan. I grew up in Manhattan,
okay.
So so around like 12 or 13, I started playing in the subway. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, whatever your parents do. Yeah, go play it.
I think about that sometimes.
Don't play in traffic, but you can play in the subway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Like I feel like you could go, like there was less supervision was okay back in those days. But not that it was okay, but
you got away with it. All right, you got away with it.
But it was normal.
It was normal. You didn't get kidnapped, and you made a few shekels.
I mean, I don't know what's okay and what's not in life, but I will say that. But the subway doesn't seem good. It doesn't seem like a good place to be at.
So Jessica, apparently you're in charge of the children. Okay.
Well, I do recognize it's not a good spot.
So you started playing at 7, self-taught? Did you take lessons or?
I took a couple lessons, but not many. I think I have a learning disability or something, where I can't focus. I'm self-diagnosed, like many people in the world now.
Yeah, we make our own best doctors. Yeah.
Yes, Google has told me all the things that you wouldn't believe all the stuff I have.
And you don't need a second opinion. Who needs a second opinion?
Never.
You've got your own.
Never. My copay went up, but not my Google internet.
So did you stick with the guitar, or did you branch out to other instruments?
I played the guitar, and then when I went to. I dropped out of high school and I went to performing arts school for vocals when I was in high school. But then I dropped out, and then I ended up going and bartending on McDougal Street. And eventually I went to City High School, got my alternative high school diploma, which is, I'm told is respectable.
Yes, it is. You just went up in my book.
Respectable enough. And then I ended up going to Purchase College for music, and that only also lasted like a year, and then I left, and I just because I wanted to go out west and I wanted to play music all over, and I went to Austin, lived there for a little while, played music, and I almost signed a record contract with Red House Records. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know Red House Records.
At the time, they were like the biggest folk record label.
I think they had Greg. Well, who did they have? They had Jack Elliott.
Ramblin' Jack Elliott had just won the Grammy that year.
I think Greg Brown, Lucy Kaplansky. So I don't know if I think they were both on it. But anyway, I was meeting with the owner.
Give me a time
of the
frame.
label.
What year was it? Do you recall?
I think it was 97 or 98, maybe. But something around that time. And then he had a fire in either something. They had like a bad fire, and so it kind of everything just stopped with that. And so that I never ended up doing that. And I started playing just, I kind of like to have a very frenetic mind at times, so I started wanting to play other instruments. So I learned piano, upright bass, and it all came in very handy now, like, because I do like to play, like I do like to just record all my own stuff here and have total control over it. I don't think I'm a control freak, but I just...
Well, when we're offline, I'm going to have a separate interview with Jessica. We're going to find out the real Dante Mazzetti. Okay, so...
Jessica? Jessica?
Put you on the spot. Hey, no fighting, okay? Hey, Jessica, when did...
Talk to him in the way we spoke about. Okay.
So when did you come into the picture?
Well, we have 3 children, and so when we had the third...
But first we were
married,
together.
Had 3 children.
All right.
And when we had the third, he had started playing live again with his friend, who's an amazing bass player, Joe Haynes, out in the islands. And that's kind of, Dante started playing a lot out there. And I come from an entrepreneurial background. My father had his own business. My grandfather has his own business. And so I worked in the business. And so for me, kind of figuring out, okay, like, how do we make this more and how do we turn this into a business is kind of a natural thing. And so I offered to help him. I said, okay, tell me what you need me to do. He gave me like a list of like 3 things. I think it was like book shows and make merch. And that was it. And I was like, there has to be more.
Wow.
So I started doing a lot of research and I started doing those things for him. And it started being more and more successful. And so at some point we thought, well, should I go back to teaching or do we want to keep doing what we're doing? And so we made the leap and we're doing this.
That had to be one of the toughest decisions. I've seen that a lot with artists, where they've reached that fork in the road of, do I go for the golden ring at that point? And it's got to be very scary.
I have to say, though, on that note, one thing that separates the whole go for it attitude is that I have an unusual regular job that provides me with flexibility and, because I work 24 hours at a time. And it has been actually one of the things that made me go back to music and made me love it is that it wasn't a feast or famine situation, and it's also the reason why I feel like I can create it the way I want to. I can put out what I want to. I don't have to, put something unnatural in the music in order for me to feel like it should fit on a Spotify playlist or something, because, this having an income coming in, but also having enough time to really pursue the music, choosing the right job. And that's something that I really think is important for people. Choose the right job if you want to do music. Don't just assume that music is going to be the way to make money, because even a very successful act doesn't make that much money.
Right.
And I consider very successful, like touring around the country, having a regular following, but not having hit songs. Somebody like that, that's a tough job and that's a struggle. And it's been nice to be able to do so much stuff online and do exactly what you want. And that's a beautiful thing about the social media and the modern era, is that you don't have to play these terrible clubs. Mm-hmm. You don't have to accept this and that. You can play the shows you like. You can play less shows. You can put yourself in the right situation. And
so to take the mystery out of it, Dante is a fireman.
Oh yeah,
it's just, and you know what else you probably have, which a lot of musicians don't, is the potential for a pension, which is take it from a 60-year-old guy
Oh man, yeah.
It's very
Well,
important.
it's funny when the city was in a lot better shape when I took the job. Was it? Actually, I don't know. I don't really know.
Well, the
stuff
contracts
like
were better.
well, but it seemed like it was. Oh, I know what I was going to say. No, you know what? There was a lot more. There was a lot more money to be made in private industry when I took the job.
Right, exactly.
In 2007, and but this was the whole thing was you're not going to be rich off of it, but you're going to have a pension. And this is what I think. I don't understand why everybody needs to get rich quick. And the attitude I feel is so weird for, this country. And I could only speak for the way it feels in this country, is that everybody seems to want to have this like get rich quick thing, get rich. And then but I don't understand the problem with just working a job and retiring young.
Right.
And being just comfortable,
Hey, let's do this. Let's talk about.
I don't even know what were we talking about. I forgot. I was going to make a point, but I don't even remember what it was. Yeah, bring me back.
Come on back. I got Dante, and Dante is back. Everybody.
Did I mention that I'm a little scattered?
No, that's what we call post editing. It'll work out. It'll look like you're very.
Oh, nice. So you're going to edit this part out, probably.
No. These are the.
You just leave this. This should be the whole interview.
This is the snippet that'll go on social media. Hey, into listening to a rambling guy. We got a guy for you. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about our audience heard Blue and Gold coming into the podcast. Tell me a little bit about how that came about.
Well, I started writing songs like Blue and Gold, and that one in particular, I really liked what I arrived at. And I feel like one of the things I didn't like about some of the stuff I would listen to, I took a lot of breaks from music. I worked on boats, and then I went to the fire department, and I was in and out of music my whole life. And one of the things I really liked about that song is I'm trying to put not necessarily a sugar-coated positive feeling on my lyrics and what I write, but I listening to a lot of my old stuff and a lot of stuff in general, it's just, there's just such a negativity about it, and I wanted to be real. I wanted to express many emotions, but what are you trying to, what am I trying to say to people? I'm trying to say, that life is about, the moments and enjoying the moments and enjoying, all that is good and not, and putting that out to people. Mm-hmm. Like, so when you're performing for someone, when you're writing a song and you're expressing it, now, did you bring them up or did you bring them down? Right. And there's a lot of really, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be like all happiness, because that's not real. That's not life. But just that the lyrics have a tinge of something that makes you feel good, Yeah. And I think that this song is hopefully doing that as much as I can.
You brought out a good point. We actually took this course at a church down the block, which in essence came down to, is your conversation, is your interaction building up or tearing down? And right. We have to look at what's happened to the country over the past several years, and our dialogue and our narratives and our separation and our putting people in categories certainly has torn a lot of things down. And we really need to build it back up, just like New York City's getting rebuilt and reformatted in a new way. Sometimes I think that's what we have to take a look at ourselves. I mean, I can't control what other people do, but maybe I can build up a little bit better instead of tearing down. And hey, listen, I'm from New York. I can complain like the next guy.
Yeah, we're good at that.
Yeah, we're good at it, but maybe that's not such a great skill to have, So
like this construction going on right now that you're here.
Yeah. So I just want to.
And it is construction.
Yeah, I want to point out it's not lousy microphones for a very great musician. It's actually background noise.
But I could complain about this. I mean, I could do that. I
want you to go and open up that window and yell out like we do in New York. Like,
Norton?
Hey, I'm recording here.
Honeymooner?
That's right. The Honeymooners. Very good.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about the next song. Here I Go. Tell me a little bit about that, and then we'll take a break and let everybody listen to it.
Okay, so yeah, those are newer songs and similar to Blue and Gold. I try to spark a message. That's a little bit. Blue and Gold's more of a feeling, more of a staying in place journey. But Here I Go is in the vein of that classic, traveling song. But I guess it has a little more of a romantic quality to it. Well, I guess they both do actually. But to tell you, but what I was saying about Here I Go, it's trying to put a positivity into this traveling through life.
Great. All right, let's have a listen to Here I Go. We'll be right back after the song. Enjoy, everybody.
Here I go, carry on with me through the cold, through the old. If I dance on the yes man's bones and I forget I'm not alone, to moonlight's mark, to the light that wounds the dark, to the powerful night, to sunshine, losing the fight. Here I go. To the windy beat, to the careless tripping feet that do not know which way they go, to the broken hearted, to the dreams that never started, to standing still, to those that never will. If I walk on the sun-bleached stones where better men have tread to roam, would I fall? Would you even care at all? Would I be strong, held by the song? Smoke in the rain, the crooked face and pain. Here I go. Here I go. All I want is all I see. All I know is what's happened to me.
Hey, everybody, we're back. What a really great song. And we were talking offline with Jessica about lyrics and interpretation or from people. Maybe you want to expand upon that, Jessica, for our audience. And I think it tied into the statement that I said, hey, if you could take an old soul and put it in a young man, sometimes wisdom comes in a lot of different flavors.
Yeah, we've gotten that comment before, and that Dante's lyrics, they're not as sugary as some of these positive songs tend to be. He has, for instance, in that song, Here I Go, he has a whole verse on all these bad things that could happen. And when I first heard the song, when he first played it for me, when he wrote it, I asked him to talk about that verse because I didn't understand where it came from. And he was saying, Well, in life, everything isn't always perfect. It's not this, oh, here I go, it's going to be amazing. But there's always things pulling at you. There's the neon signs and the bars and all these things that you could go down that path, and that it's your choice to choose which way you're going to go. And I think in all of Dante's music, when it does have a positive spin, which he's doing a lot more lately, there is this dose of reality, and it's showing you it's not all, sugar canes and beautiful things, that there are tough moments in life, and that's where you can choose where to go.
Yeah, if you think about it, there's that ebb and tide in life of tragedy and elation and joy and sorrow. And, if you think, I remember an interview with Stephen Colbert, right, who had a lot of tragedy in his life. His father and his brother died in a car accident, if I recall. And he said, it's all a gift. And when you first hear it, you go, what? How? He goes, hey, if you accept the gift of life that, was given to you, you take the good and the bad. You take the rain and the sunshine. It's where your decisions are and what you make of it. But Dante, I think you're right. Sometimes we have to point out the lament of, and it makes a connection, right, with people.
Isn't there something, right, exactly. And there's something to sharing in that, everybody, the reality of it. And, that people sharing in each other's misery.
There's something to be said about that.
There is something to be said about it, but then you take that reality and you put a positive mindset on it, right? So, you look through life through different filters, and you can see the same thing, and you can hold up an orange filter or a green filter and a blue filter, and that and those are your emotions, and how do you want to perceive it? We're all looking at the same thing, the same object, the same person through that filter. It's the same person, but it's a different filter. And this is what music can do. It can, you can give people this sort of, and there's almost and so when I write, it's almost an ambiguity that I like to keep there. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you more specific? Why, what are you trying to say? Well, you tell me what I'm trying to say, and I don't want to be too specific. It should have some cohesiveness, but without being overly specific. The song needs to be able to be a different filter for you than it is for me.
That's why when I interview singer-songwriters, I never ask the question, what does that song mean? Because it really the question goes out to the audience. What does it mean to you? And at least what I find, particularly if you go through sorrow or depression, you get that hurricane ice storm of thinking you're the only one in that. And when you can when you can share that sorrow or recognize that sorrow in a song with somebody else, hey, I'm not the only one going through this. Hey, this person connects with me.
I think. Yeah, totally. And also, I think people don't have to necessarily understand things fully to be able to appreciate. You don't have to understand a sunset to look at a sunset and appreciate it. You can, you can just see things. There's a song by Leonard Cohen called "Love Calls You," something like that. "Love Calls You by Your Name." And it's really a collection of just amazing images. And to try to put them together and make too much sense of them, you would probably be frustrated and you wouldn't enjoy the song. But the images are wild and the pictures are so vivid that you're and what's so incredible about it is the total, wildness of the song and the lack of cohesiveness in that one. I think so anyway. That's my interpretation. But I can just sit back and I can take the visuals into my head, and I'm in a very different place than you. Whereas if I was to be very specific in a song, or somebody doesn't make it a bad song. I love the clarity of "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right." It's, man, I'm right there. Right. But there's also something nice about letting the visuals go a little wild, letting the images go wild, letting your path not be so straight or so clear, so that the person can listen to it over and over again and have a different story, a different scene every time.
Right. What's interesting, one of my catchphrases at the end of my episode and in my advertising is "Let the music take you on a journey," which means the author of the song is not giving you the destination. He's giving you, wow, man, is that philosophical right there? Something just hit me.
That was beautiful. I'm in. I'm on the train, man. Let's go.
You can have it. Just as long as I get credit, okay? Jessica, you're my witness.
I've actually tried to write songs that are very happy. You know, the only, like, "You Are My Sunshine, My Only Sunshine."
Yeah.
I didn't write that one, but you know that song. But it's just, I was like, well, I want to think of a song. I was trying, can you think of a song that you think is really good writing? And I'm talking about like super positive, like that other people would know anyway. I can't think of it, like, because it's very hard to create depth when you're just, you know, it's like a person who just only.
You know what comes to mind? I Got Sunshine on a Rainy Day.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
But even that.
It's a rainy day.
It's a rainy day.
Right.
It's like, I'm coming through. It's like,
and even,
it's very hard.
Even "You Are My Sunshine," they're talking about someone who died. I mean,
but
that's not a cheery song either.
Are we going to split hairs here? But it isn't. But that, you know, the deeper meaning of that song. I think that's more like. But you're right. I think it is. I think you might be. Are you thinking of?
It's like the second verse. It refers to something about they died or something.
Oh, you're right.
I wish
right.
they
We'll have to take time and dissect that song at one point.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to bring up, for those who are new to the podcast, I have chapter marks. So everyone we talk about, some of these other songs that talk about Dylan, I'm going to plug in some information and images as well as links so you can go on a journey there and explore some of the things, you know, about Leonard Cohen and what have you. You'll see it in the chapter market. So when we mention something and you go, oh, I'm interested in that, just look at your phone and you'll see a chapter mark about where you can take the journey a little bit further and learn something else. So why don't we do this? Let's take another quick break. And when we get back, I want to talk about Hey Mama. All right, we'll be back in a few.
Hi, Steve Yusko from Gig Destiny here. Well, as you're probably listening to this podcast, you're probably thinking about that musician who would make a fantastic guest here on the Long Island Sound. Well, we'd like to hear their story. We'd like to hear their music. So have them reach out to us at gigdestiny.com and we'll explore their craft. Now, back to our podcast.
Hey, we're back, everybody. And of course, we always jump into things offline here and talk about great stuff. Jessica, tell me about this great program you got on your website.
Yeah, so we set up this really fun thing called 5 Days of Indie Folk. And what it is, I secretly record Dante like all the time while he's doing music stuff, which he hates. But
as long as he's dressed, right?
What we do is
Yeah.
No, he's like, you know, he's making music.
Okay.
He'll be like writing or recording or whatever.
The stalker wife.
So so then what we do, yeah, total stalker.
You have to watch out for those stalkers when you give out your address.
Otherwise.
When you play on the Balcony series, you have to watch out. Go on.
Right. So we put together 5 songs of his, one of which is Hey Mama, which we're going to listen to next. Another, which was Here I Go, which we already heard. And basically, you get to see all sorts of kind of the way that the song came together. It's all different because it depends on when I can catch him. But you get to see him writing songs and rewriting songs and figuring out parts and talking to me about the song and what's going to happen with it and recording. And there's even a really embarrassing video of me trying to get my vocal in on Hey Mama, which did not work.
It was nice.
And so we put all this together.
Are you the mama
so we
in
put
Hey
it all
Mama?
Together.
Oh, Mama.
Oh, Mama.
No,
Different song. Never mind.
Why do you say that you're not the mama? Why do you say that?
Oh, well, the story is definitely not about us.
So go to the website.
Right.
It's DanteMazzetti.com.
Go to the website.
And you'll find it there. You'll also find it in the chapter marks, which we'll show you there. Let's jump into this. Let's talk about Hey Mama. Or why don't we do this?
Okay.
Why don't we listen to Hey Mama and then talk about it afterwards? Does that sound cool?
I like that.
You like that, Dante?
I like that. I like that a lot.
Our goal here is to keep Dante happy. All right. So, hey, everybody, check out Hey Mama, and we'll be right back.
Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? I got a lot of good to do tonight. So, hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Won't you treat me right? And a cold wind is set to blow, and I've been walking all day here in the snow, and all I got is a thin shirt to warm me where I go, but I'll be coming home today, you know. Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? But I got a lot of good to do tonight, yeah. Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Won't you treat me right? I don't care what happened when I was gone. Oh, long as he's gone before the dawn. And when I arrive in the darkest night, I'm gonna love you till the morning light, yeah. Well, I'm a broke down engine and old pair of shoes, and my hands are froze around a picture of you, and I need you here to warm the blue, 'cause I've been loving you before you knew. Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Yeah. I got a lot of good to do tonight, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mama, won't you treat me right? Won't you treat me right? Yeah. Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Yeah. I got a lot of good to do tonight, yeah. Hey, mama, won't you treat me right? Yeah. Won't you treat me right?
Hey, everybody, we're back after hearing Hey Mama, and I'll let you guys be the deciders of who your Hey Mama is. So,
Ooh, yeah.
great song. That was that.
I wanted some 70s, like, come in after you said
So
that.
when did you write Hey Mama? When did that come
I
out?
like you just skipped right over that.
Yeah,
That was
no, I'm
nicely
not,
done.
it's not important what you say, it's what I ask you, okay? I told
just
you in the
fair enough.
beginning, just pay attention and just answer the damn questions, okay? How hard is that, Justin?
What was that again?
How hard? How hard is that?
It's
You
hard.
probably forgot the question already.
It's harder than you do. No, oh, Hey Mama, right? Yeah, so
Yeah, Hey Mama.
I wrote that not that's pretty new. That's pretty new. I would say like a year or two ago. Does that sound right, Jess?
Yeah.
And it was, that is a song of Non-conventional relationship thinking, I guess you could say. You know, it's the character is searching for warmth, and you know, it's sort of a wandering type of song, which I guess has been, you know, the sort of direction I've like, you know, I'm always kind of the road, the adventure, right? All that garbage. But I like that stuff. So, but this is, you know, the character is you know, is cold, is lost, and doesn't, and needs to find, you know, something to hold on to, at least for the moment. And one of the things in that song is the absence of jealousy, which comes into play in, I think, the third verse, or one of the verses, where it sort of speaks about, you know, I don't care who's been there when I haven't been there. And to me, it's an important line in the song, in that there's such a possessive nature that people have, and it's an odd characteristic that we still carry on in this day and age. And that song, you know, seeks to place the importance on the moments and not on the past or not on the future. This momentary living concept is something that, like, I have really taken hold of late, because I feel like you're only living in the moment if you are living in the moment. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're only here now.
If you're present.
I know what I wanted to say. Yeah. The only moment you're living in is the moment. The only time you're living into the moment. You're not living in the future, but you think about the future all the time. You're not living in the past, but you think about the past. You dwell on these things. What will be, what has been. And all this time, you're in the moment you're in, and you're not even concerned with the moment. You're concerned with every moment you're not living. And that is what this song is. It's a song about living in the moment, I guess. What do you think, Jess? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I also think, you know, you
Boy,
at
you
that
really
time...
ramble, Jess. I'm going to have to cut you off. Oh, wait, that's your job. You cut her off.
No, I cut my wife off.
And at that time, you were looking to kind of create a song that was a little more fun and up, and so the instrumentation of that, you know, the hand claps,
yeah, I was really bumming myself out for a while.
Right.
What's that Tom Waits line? We talk about Tom Waits. I love beautiful melody. I love beautiful melodies telling me terrible things. Is that the quote?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I read that quote. I was like, wow, that's a really good way to think of it. I love my misery. I love that
a pig in slop. Right?
Yeah. Why do we watch horror movies? We like to be scared. Is this off topic?
No.
Is that a stretch?
There are many
that
topics.
Was a stretch.
You know what? Listen, you guys, I'm so happy you guys agreed to be on the podcast.
I really thought you were going to say something else.
No, I'm being serious now for a moment.
Oh, good.
And in that, you guys are very transparent about your process, about your life. And it really just opened the door a little bit. I think there's so much more. There's certainly so much more to discover in your music. Obviously, I see a bright future for both of you. You're coming from a point of joy and great collaboration. You look like you're a great team. So there's a joy about that, and you're bringing joy to the audience. So thanks for giving us that little glimmer into your background. But I do want to have you guys back, because I think there's so many things that we haven't touched on. And, Well,
I'm coming over to your house tonight. Great. I don't know if I told you that.
I'm going to be,
It just looks nice there. I want to go.
Yeah, but it's all a facade. There's guitars, so you can play.
And I want to say also, thank you for having us on. We really this has been a really good time. I'm sorry we're not more interesting. But, we do
the
like
best we can with the notes that we're playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to mix stuff around, you can give me one of those, what do they do? What do they think about where they put the words, they turn everything into music?
So,
what's that thing called? Auto-tune. You can auto-tune us and make us sound better.
Hey, listen.
Or do something interesting.
You guys are interesting. Hey, everybody, please check out Dante Mazzetti. Great. You have great music and a great atmosphere, and I implore everybody. You're going to put a smile on your face when you listen to Dante's music. So I end my podcast this way, and a good friend told me this, which he learned from, believe it or not, Joe Torre. Joe Torre told him, hey, you can account for a lot of things in your life, what you own, what you have in your bank. You can't account for the time you have on this earth. So the fact that you guys gave me this time together, I'm getting goosebumps now. I'm serious. I really appreciate it. So until next time, everybody, please check out the Long Island Sound podcast, subscribe, comment, and rate the show. And do one last thing. Call the listener line. You'll see the number. It's 631-800-3579. And leave your comments. And I'll forward it to Jessica. And then if she likes it, she'll forward it to Dante. So. All right.
Screen them, Jess. Screen those. Hey, I did notice that your show is called The Long Island Sound.
Correct.
But you live on the Great South Bay.
Yeah. See, it's a metaphor, and it's.
Oh yes, of course. I've heard of those.
A metaphor is something we use in songwriting, Dante.
I ruined this interview at the very end. You did say you edit
funny.
stuff.
We were
right?
ending, but
Well, maybe put this somewhere else in the interview.
Rambles on. Hey, welcome to the Rambling Man Show with Dante Mazzetti.
Actually, it's better back here because then you don't know that I don't understand metaphors yet.
You see my face right now? You know what I'm doing?
What?
I'm feigning interest right now.
Oh, yeah. That's something you're going to have to get better at.
Hey, it's the face God gave me. What can I do?
You'll get better at that as you keep doing the video podcast. Right now, I can see you, sticking your middle finger up at me. That's still in screen.
I love constructive criticism.
Well, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve, for having us. This has been really nice.
Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate the time you spent with us. Please subscribe and comment and visit us at gigdestiny.com. Till next time, be generous with your joy, keep your spirits high, and let the music take you on a journey. Be well. Peace. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to rate and review the show wherever you listen to this podcast. And if you'd like to partner with us, go to gigdestiny.com, hit that donate button, and help us to keep the conversation going. Be well. Peace.